He was born in a log cabin and changed the future of a nation. This is the story of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. He came from a poor family, had little education, and lived a very simple life. But he worked hard, learned every day, and became one of the most important leaders in American history. He helped free millions of people from slavery and kept his country together during a very hard time. Abraham Lincoln was not like other leaders. He was kind, honest, and strong. People called him Honest Abe because he always tried to do what was right. Even when life was difficult, he did not give up. He believed that everyone should be treated equally, no matter the color of their skin. He believed in freedom, justice, and peace. In this story, you will learn about his life, from his early years in the woods of Kentucky to the White House in Washington, D.C. You will discover how he became a lawyer, how he entered politics, and how he led a country at war. You will also learn about the big speech he gave, called the Gettysburg Address, and why people still remember his words today. This story will also help you learn English. The words are simple and clear. The sentences are short. You can practice your reading, understand American history, and enjoy a powerful true story at the same time. Abraham Lincoln's life is full of lessons. He teaches us that one person can make a big difference. He shows us that even if we start with nothing, we can still reach great heights. With hope, hard work, and courage, anything is possible. So get ready to take a journey through history. Meet a man who was tall, quiet, and thoughtful, but strong in his heart and mind. Learn how he helped end slavery, how he kept a country from breaking apart, and how his words still inspire people around the world. This is not just a story about the past. It is a story for today. A story of hope, change, and never giving up. This is the story of Abraham Lincoln. Chapter 1. The Boy from the Log Cabin. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809. He was born in a small log cabin in Kentucky, a state in the United States. His family was very poor. They had no electricity, no running water, and no car. Life was hard, but this little boy would grow up to change history. His father's name was Thomas Lincoln. Thomas was a farmer and a carpenter. He worked with wood and built things. Abraham's mother was Nancy Hanks Lincoln. She was kind and loved to read the Bible. Abraham loved her very much. When Abraham was only 9 years old, something very sad happened. His mother became sick and died. Abraham cried and felt very lonely. Life without his mother was difficult. But a few months later, his father married a new woman named Sarah. Sarah became Abraham's stepmother. She was a good woman. She cared for Abraham like he was her own son. She saw something special in him. She said he was smart and kind. Abraham grew up in the countryside. He wore simple clothes and no shoes most of the time. His family moved to Indiana and later to Illinois. They lived in small wooden houses and worked hard every day. Abraham had to do farm work, cut wood, and help his father. He was very tall and strong. People said he could split a log in just one hit. Even though Abraham worked all the time, he loved to read. But there were not many books in his home. Sometimes he walked for miles just to borrow a book. He read by the fire at night because they had no lights. He read the Bible, books about American history, and stories about great men. One of his favorite books was The Life of George Washington. He wanted to learn more about the world. Abraham did not go to school very much. In total, he went to school for less than 1 year. That's not a lot, but he taught himself by reading. He practiced writing with chalk on a wooden board. He listened carefully to people who knew more than him. Slowly, he became very smart. He believed that learning was the key to a better life. Growing up was not easy for Abraham. His family did not have much money. Sometimes they did not have enough food. Their house was cold in the winter. Abraham did not have many toys. But these hard times made him strong. He learned to be patient. He learned to work hard. He learned to care for others. Abraham also learned how to tell stories. Around the fire at night, he made people laugh with funny tales. He had a warm smile and a kind heart. People liked to listen to him. Later in life, these skills helped him become a great speaker. He also saw many unfair things. He saw poor people suffer. He saw how hard life was for black people who were slaves. He did not think this was right. These early experiences stayed in his heart. They helped shape his ideas about freedom and fairness. Abraham had big dreams. He wanted more than farm life. When he was a young man, he left home to find work. He worked on a boat, in a shop, and even as a postman. He always tried to do his best. People said he was honest and fair. That's why they called him Honest Abe. His early life was full of struggle. But he never gave up. He kept learning. He kept helping others. And he kept dreaming. All the hard times made him strong. They helped him become the leader the country needed in its darkest days. This is how the boy from the log cabin started his journey. Not with money or power, but with a good heart, a strong will, and a love for learning. Chapter 2. A young man with big ideas. After working many small jobs, Abraham Lincoln began to think about something bigger, helping people and making life better. He wanted to serve his country. He wanted to change things that were wrong. So, he decided to enter politics. Lincoln's political journey started in a small town called New Salem, Illinois. He was a young man with no money and no rich friends. But he had something special. People liked him. He was honest, kind, and a good speaker. He told funny stories and listened to others. People trusted him. In 1832, at the age of 23, Abraham Lincoln ran for the Illinois state legislature. This is a group of people who help make laws for the state. Lincoln did not win that first time, but he did not give up. 2 years later, in 1834, he tried again. This time, he won. Lincoln became a state lawmaker. As a lawmaker, Lincoln worked hard. He read many books about law, history, and government. He wanted to understand how to lead well. He also became a lawyer. He learned how to speak clearly, ask good questions, and solve problems. These skills helped him in both law and politics. Lincoln believed in a few strong ideas. First, he believed in fairness. He thought every person should have a chance to work, learn, and live free. Second, he believed in hard work. He worked hard to move from a poor farm boy to a lawyer and leader. Third, he believed in the United States. One country, together. He did not want the country to break apart. One big problem in America during this time was slavery. In many southern states, black people were slaves. They had no freedom. They worked hard every day, but they were not paid. They could be sold like objects. This made Lincoln very sad. In the early part of his career, Lincoln did not always speak loudly against slavery. He wanted to bring people together and not make too many enemies. But deep in his heart, he knew slavery was wrong. He believed every person, no matter their color, had the right to be free. In 1846, Lincoln was elected to the U.S. Congress in Washington, D.C. This was a big step. Now, he was working with leaders from all over the country. In Congress, he spoke out against the Mexican-American War. He said it was not fair. He also started to speak more clearly against slavery. After one term in Congress, Lincoln returned to Illinois. For a few years, he stayed away from politics. He focused on his law work and his family. But then something happened that brought him back. In 1854, the U.S. Congress passed the Kansas-Nebraska Act. This law allowed new states to choose if they wanted slavery or not. Many people in the North were angry. They did not want slavery to spread. Lincoln also felt this was wrong. He said, "If slavery is not wrong, then nothing is wrong." Lincoln began to speak again. He gave many speeches in Illinois. He said slavery should not grow. He said the country could not stay half slave and half free. His words were simple but powerful. People listened. In 1858, Lincoln ran for the U.S. Senate. His opponent was a man named Stephen Douglas. Douglas believed each state should decide about slavery. But Lincoln believed slavery was a moral issue, a question of right and wrong. Lincoln and Douglas had many public debates. These are events where two people speak and share their ideas. The Lincoln-Douglas debates became famous. Thousands of people came to hear them talk. Lincoln said, "A house divided cannot stand." He meant the country could not live forever with slavery in one half and freedom in the other. Even though Lincoln lost the Senate race, people across the country noticed him. They saw him as a strong voice against slavery. They liked his simple, honest way of speaking. He did not shout. He did not lie. He just told the truth. By the late 1850s, a new political party had started, the Republican Party. This party was against the spread of slavery. Lincoln joined the Republicans. In 1860, the party asked him to run for president. Lincoln's rise in politics was not easy. He lost elections. He had little money. He came from a poor family, but he never gave up. He always believed in truth, hard work, and freedom for all people. His early political life showed the world what kind of man he was. He was brave, calm, and fair. He did not want to fight, but he was ready to stand for what was right. He believed in the American dream, that anyone, even a poor boy from a log cabin, could grow up and lead a great nation. Abraham Lincoln's early political career was just the beginning. Bigger challenges were waiting. But one thing was clear. He would not stay silent about injustice. He would use his voice to speak for those who had none. And soon, the whole world would hear him. Chapter 3. Leading a Nation Through War. In 1861, something very serious happened in the United States. The country broke apart. 11 states in the South left the United States. They said, "We do not want to be part of this country anymore." These states wanted to keep slavery. They started their own country called the Confederate States of America. This started the American Civil War. Why did the war begin? For many years, people in the North and South had different ideas. The North had more factories, cities, and free workers. The South had large farms called plantations. These farms used slaves to work. The North wanted slavery to end. The South wanted to keep slavery. When Abraham Lincoln became president in 1860, the South became very angry. Lincoln said he would not allow slavery to grow. He did not want to take away slavery where it already existed, but he wanted to stop it from spreading. The South believed Lincoln was a danger to their way of life, so they left the Union. Lincoln was very sad. He loved his country. He wanted to keep the United States together. He said, "A house divided cannot stand." This meant a country cannot stay strong if it is broken in two. He believed the country must be one. A president at war, the Civil War began in April 1861. The first shots were fired at a place called Fort Sumter. Lincoln had to act fast. He sent soldiers to protect the North. At first, many people thought the war would be short, but it lasted for 4 long years. Being a president during a war is very hard. Lincoln had many difficult choices. He had to send young men into battle. He had to find smart generals to lead the army. He had to make sure people still had food, jobs, and hope. Many people blamed him when things went wrong. But Lincoln stayed strong. He listened to others, he asked for advice, and he thought very carefully before making decisions. One of Lincoln's biggest problems was finding the right generals. Some generals were too slow. Others were too scared to fight. Lincoln was not a soldier, but he learned quickly. He read books about war. He studied maps. He watched how his generals worked. After some time, he found a general he trusted, Ulysses S. Grant. Grant was brave and smart. He helped Lincoln win the war. The Emancipation Proclamation in the middle of the war, Lincoln made a big decision. On January 1st, 1863, he gave a very important order called the Emancipation Proclamation. This order said that all slaves in the Confederate States were now free. This was a brave move. Some people in the North did not agree. They were afraid. Others thought it would make the South fight harder. But Lincoln believed it was the right thing to do. He said, "If slavery is not wrong, nothing is wrong." The Emancipation Proclamation did not free all slaves right away, but it gave hope. It changed the reason for the war. Now, the war was not only about keeping the country together. It was also about freedom. Many black men joined the Union Army after the proclamation. They wanted to fight for their freedom. Lincoln welcomed them. He believed they were just as brave and strong as any soldier. The Gettysburg Address. In 1863, a big and bloody battle happened in a town called Gettysburg. Over 50,000 men were killed, hurt, or missing. It was one of the deadliest battles in American history. A few months later, Lincoln went to Gettysburg to give a speech. The speech was very short, only about 2 minutes long, but his words were powerful. This speech is called the Gettysburg Address. Lincoln said, "All men are created equal." He talked about a new birth of freedom. He said that the dead should not die in vain. The people must keep working for freedom and unity. The speech reminded everyone why they were fighting, not for land or power, but for liberty and hope. Staying strong during hard times. During the war, many people told Lincoln to stop. Some said, "Let the South go." Others said, "Make peace and end the fighting." But Lincoln did not give up. He believed the Union must stay together. He believed that slavery must end. He also faced problems at home. Some people hated him. Some newspapers wrote bad things about him. He got many letters telling him he was wrong. But Lincoln did not become angry or cruel. He stayed calm. He told jokes. He visited soldiers. He wrote letters to families who lost sons in battle. His heart was full of sadness, but also full of hope. Re-elected in war. In 1864, there was a new election. Lincoln ran for president again. Many people thought he would lose. The war was long and painful, but Lincoln won the election. This showed that many Americans still trusted him. He said in a speech, "With malice toward none, with charity for all." This means he did not hate anyone, not even the South. He wanted to heal the country. He wanted peace and kindness, not revenge. The war ends, finally, in April 1865. The war ended. General Grant and the Union Army won. The Confederate Army surrendered. The United States was one country again. Slavery was finished. Millions of black men, women, and children were now free. Lincoln was very happy, but also very tired. He looked forward to peace. He wanted to rebuild the South. He wanted to bring people together. He said, "Let us finish the work we are in." He wanted everyone to help make the country strong again. A leader for all time. Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War was full of hard choices. He had to fight a war, free the slaves, and keep the country together, all at the same time. He worked day and night. He listened to people, but he always followed his heart. He spoke clearly and simply. He helped others believe in a better future. He was not perfect. He made mistakes. But he always tried to do what was right. He was a man of courage, kindness, and deep love for his country. Thanks to Abraham Lincoln, the United States stayed united. Thanks to him, millions of people became free. His words and actions still inspire people today. The Civil War was the hardest time in American history, but with Lincoln's leadership, the country found its way. He gave America a second chance, a chance to live up to its best ideas: freedom, equality, and unity. Chapter 4. Lincoln's Fight for Freedom. Abraham Lincoln was a man who believed in freedom. He believed that all people are created equal. He did not believe that one person should own another. This is why slavery made him very sad. When Lincoln was a young man, he saw slaves in chains. He saw them being sold like animals. This touched his heart. He knew it was wrong. He once said, "If slavery is not wrong, nothing is wrong." But in the early years of his life, Lincoln did not shout loudly about slavery. He wanted to bring people together. Many people in the South wanted to keep slavery. If Lincoln spoke too strongly, they would not listen. So he waited. He learned. He watched. Then, in 1861, the Civil War began. 11 states left the United States because they wanted to keep slavery. They started their own country. Lincoln became president at this very hard time. He had two big goals: to keep the country together and to end slavery forever. A big decision. At first, Lincoln said the war was only to save the Union, to bring the North and South back together. He knew that many people in the North were not ready to fight to end slavery. But deep in his heart, Lincoln was always thinking about freedom. As the war continued, Lincoln saw that slavery was a big part of the problem. The South was using slaves to grow food, build roads, and help their army. Lincoln thought, if we end slavery, we also make the South weaker. It was time for a big decision. The Emancipation Proclamation. On January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln made a very important announcement. It was called the Emancipation Proclamation. This was a special order that said, all persons held as slaves in states that are fighting against the United States are now free. This meant that all slaves in the Confederate States, the states that left the Union, were free. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free every slave on that day. It did not free slaves in the border states that stayed with the Union, but it was a big, powerful step. Now, the war was not only about keeping the country together. It was also a war to end slavery. It was a war for freedom. Hope for the future. The Emancipation Proclamation gave hope to millions of black people. Many had waited for this moment their whole lives. They sang songs, they prayed, they cried tears of joy. Families that had been broken apart now dreamed of being together again. Many black men joined the Union Army after the proclamation. They wanted to fight for their own freedom. They wanted to help others be free. Lincoln welcomed them. He believed they were strong, brave, and full of heart. By the end of the war, almost 200,000 black soldiers had served in the Union Army and Navy. They fought with courage. Many gave their lives for freedom. Lincoln's beliefs about equality. Lincoln believed that all people were equal. He did not believe that white people were better than black people. He believed every person had the right to be free, to work, and to build a better life. In one of his letters he wrote, "As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This means Lincoln would never want to be a slave. And because of that, he would never want to make someone else a slave. Some people in his time said, black people are not the same as white people. But Lincoln did not agree. He said, they are flesh and blood. They think, they feel, they love, they cry, just like us. Lincoln wanted freedom not only in words, but also in law. He wanted slavery to be gone forever. The 13th Amendment. After the Emancipation Proclamation, Lincoln took one more big step. He helped pass a new law, the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. This law said, slavery shall not exist in the United States. This was the final blow to slavery. The law was passed in 1865, just before the Civil War ended. Now, not just some slaves, but all slaves were free, forever. Lincoln was very happy. He knew this was the right thing to do. He had worked so hard, he had waited so long, and now the dream of freedom had come true. A new birth of freedom. In 1863, Lincoln gave a short speech at a battlefield called Gettysburg. He said the war was giving the country a new birth of freedom. He wanted people to remember that America was built on the idea that all men are created equal. This new birth of freedom was for everyone, black and white, rich and poor. Lincoln wanted a country where every person could live free, chase their dreams, and live with dignity. He knew the work was not finished. He knew there would still be problems. But he believed that freedom was the first step. A leader with heart. Lincoln was not a perfect man, but he had a kind heart. He listened. He cared. He believed in the good inside people. He once said, "Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends?" He wanted peace. He wanted healing. He did not want hate. Even after the war, Lincoln planned to forgive the South and help them rebuild. Sadly, Lincoln did not live to see the new world he helped create. Just days after the war ended, he was shot and killed. People all across the country cried. Even people in the South mourned him. One black man said, "He was the best friend we ever had." Many others agreed. His legacy lives on. Today, people all over the world remember Abraham Lincoln as a hero of freedom. His Emancipation Proclamation changed history. It was not just a law. It was a promise that all people deserve to be free. Lincoln showed that one person, with courage, heart, and strong beliefs, can change the world. He spoke for those who had no voice. He stood up for what was right, even when it was hard. He believed that every human life has value. Thanks to Lincoln, millions of people were set free. Thanks to Lincoln, the idea of equality became real in America. Chapter 5. The Death of Abraham Lincoln. It was April 14th, 1865. The Civil War had just ended. The country was tired, but people were happy. The North had won, and the Union was safe. Slavery was finished. Abraham Lincoln had done something great. He had saved the United States and helped free millions of people. Lincoln was very tired. He had worked day and night for years. But he was also hopeful. He wanted to help the South rebuild. He wanted peace, not revenge. He said, "With malice toward none, with charity for all." These were his final hopes for the country. That night, President Lincoln went to the theater. A night at the theater, Lincoln went to a play called Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. He loved the theater. It helped him relax. His wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, went with him. They sat in a special balcony seat called the Presidential Box. Everyone at the theater was happy to see the president. People clapped and cheered when he entered. He smiled and waved. He looked calm and peaceful. But something terrible was about to happen. The man behind the gun, John Wilkes Booth, was a famous actor. He was from the South and loved the Confederacy. He was angry that the South had lost the war. He hated Lincoln. He blamed him for the end of slavery. He believed Lincoln had destroyed the South. Booth made a plan. He wanted to kill Abraham Lincoln. He thought this would help the South rise again. He also planned to kill other government leaders on the same night. Booth believed he would be seen as a hero. But he was wrong. The assassination. That night, Booth walked into the theater. He knew the building well because he had acted there many times. He quietly climbed the stairs to the presidential box. At 10:15 p.m., during a funny part of the play, Booth opened the door behind Lincoln. He pointed a small pistol at the back of Lincoln's head. He fired one shot. The sound was loud, but many people thought it was part of the play. Lincoln slumped forward. He did not scream. He did not move. He was shot in the head. Booth shouted something in Latin. Sic semper tyrannis. It means, thus always to tyrants. Then he jumped from the balcony to the stage. His leg broke when he landed, but he still managed to escape. People screamed. Mary Lincoln cried out. Soldiers and doctors ran to help the president. But it was too late. The president's final hours. Lincoln was taken across the street to a small house. He was placed on a bed, but the bed was too short. So they laid him diagonally. Doctors tried to help him, but the wound was too serious. The bullet had gone deep into his brain. For 9 long hours, Lincoln lay in bed. He did not wake up. His friends, family, and government leaders stayed by his side. Many cried. The room was quiet. Everyone knew he was dying. At 7:22 a.m. on April 15, 1865, Abraham Lincoln took his last breath. The doctor said, "Now he belongs to the ages." The nation's great leader was gone. He was 56 years old. A nation in shock. When the news spread, people were shocked. Many could not believe it. Some wept in the streets. Others dropped to their knees and prayed. Businesses closed. Churches filled with people. Even those who had once disagreed with Lincoln now mourned him. The country was just starting to heal from war. Now it had lost its greatest leader. Black Americans cried the most. They had lost their best friend, the man who had helped free them. One man said, "He died for us." Many called him Father Abraham. Even in the South, some people were sad. They knew Lincoln had wanted peace. He had not wanted to punish them. His death was a tragedy for all. The hunt for Booth. John Wilkes Booth ran away. He thought people would praise him. But he was wrong. The whole country was angry. Soldiers searched for him day and night. For 12 days, Booth hid in woods and barns. But he could not run forever. On April 26th, Union soldiers found him in a barn in Virginia. They told him to surrender, but he refused. The barn was set on fire. Booth was shot and died that same day. Others who helped him were arrested. Some were sent to prison. 4 of them were hanged. Lincoln's funeral. Abraham Lincoln's body was taken by train from Washington, D.C. to his hometown in Springfield, Illinois. The train passed through many cities. Millions of people came to see him one last time. Some stood for hours in the rain. Others cried quietly. Children laid flowers on the tracks. In each city there were processions, songs, and prayers. The whole country was mourning. The train journey took 2 weeks. Finally, on May 4, 1865, Lincoln was buried in Springfield. His tomb is still there today. People from all over the world come to visit it. A life-remembered Lincoln died, but his dream lived on. He had led the country through its hardest time. He had saved the Union and ended slavery. His words and actions changed the world. Even today, Abraham Lincoln is remembered as one of the greatest leaders in history. Schools, streets, and parks are named after him. His face is on the penny and the $5 bill. His statue stands tall in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial. People go there to remember his courage, his kindness, and his deep love for freedom. His words still speak. Lincoln's words still inspire people. All men are created equal. A government of the people, by the people, for the people. With malice toward none, with charity for all. He taught us to be brave, to be fair, to stand up for what is right, even when it is hard. Abraham Lincoln gave everything for his country. He gave his voice, his strength, and finally, his life. He showed us what a true leader looks like. He will never be forgotten. Chapter 6. Abraham Lincoln's Legacy. Abraham Lincoln is one of the most important people in American history. He was born in a small log cabin, but he changed a great nation. He was poor, but he became the President of the United States. He had little education, but he spoke words that touched people's hearts. He gave his life to serve others. And today, many people still remember and honor him. A leader who believed in the people. Lincoln believed in democracy. He believed the government should serve the people, all the people. He said, "A government of the people, by the people, for the people." These words are simple, but powerful. They remind us that leaders must listen to the people and protect their rights. He also believed in fairness. He wanted a country where everyone had a chance. He did not want one group to have power over another. He believed all people, black or white, should be free to live, work, and dream. He kept the country together. When Lincoln became president, the country was falling apart. 11 states left the Union. They started a war. It was the bloodiest war in American history. Many people died. It was a sad and dark time. But Lincoln did not give up. He worked every day to keep the country together. He made hard choices. He never stopped believing that the United States could become one again. And in the end, the Union was saved. Because of him, America stayed one country. He fought for freedom. Lincoln believed that slavery was wrong. He could not understand how one person could own another. During the war, he made a big decision. He signed the Emancipation Proclamation to free the slaves in the South. This gave hope to millions of people. Later, he helped pass the 13th Amendment. This law ended slavery in all of the United States. It was a big moment in history. Lincoln gave his voice and his heart to the fight for freedom. Many people call him the Great Emancipator, the one who set the people free. He inspired the world. Lincoln's words and actions did not only change the United States, they also inspired people in other countries. He showed that one person can make a big difference. He showed that freedom, equality, and justice are worth fighting for. His Gettysburg Address, though short, is still one of the most famous speeches in the world. In it, Lincoln said that the dead had not died for nothing. They died so the nation could have a new birth of freedom. His dream was not only to save a country, it was to build a better one. He lives in memory. Even though Abraham Lincoln died many years ago, his memory lives on. In Washington, D.C., there is a big statue of him called the Lincoln Memorial. People visit it every day. Some come to learn. Some come to honor him. Some come to say, "Thank you." His face is also on the penny and the $5 bill. Schools and streets are named after him. His story is told to children in books and classrooms. His words are quoted in speeches and songs. Lincoln is not just a man from history. He is a symbol of what is good and right. His legacy today. Thanks to Lincoln, the United States became stronger. His work helped shape American values. He taught people to care for one another, to speak for the weak, and to believe in freedom. Today, the fight for justice continues. People still stand up for civil rights. They still ask for equality and respect. Lincoln's dream is not finished, but his example gives people hope. When we speak of fairness, freedom, and democracy, we are walking in Lincoln's footsteps. Would America be the same without Lincoln? It is hard to imagine America without Abraham Lincoln. Would slavery have ended? Would the country have stayed together? Would democracy have survived the war? We may never know the answers, but we do know this. Abraham Lincoln gave everything he had for his country. He believed in the people. He believed in freedom. He gave his life for the dream of a better nation. That is why he is remembered. That is why his story still matters. Final words, Abraham Lincoln showed that a simple man with big ideas can change the world. He taught us to believe in justice, to fight for what is right, and to never stop hoping. He once said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." And that is what he did. America is different today because of Abraham Lincoln. His light still shines, his voice still speaks, and his dream still lives.